Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, ma'am.
So there are three students only present. So what about others?
They are coming. Wait a minute. Yes.
Okay, so how much time we should wait?
Ma'am, I call to everyone in group.
Okay, right in the WhatsApp group that our class has started, and they have to join fast. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
so I'm giving you a couple of minutes. So in 3 minutes we will start. Okay. Okay. Good afternoon. So let's start our class. So right now there are 6 students. So Faisal, what was your home task? What have you prepared for our class for today? Let's start with you. Faisal, are you present?
Ma'am, wellness and
Shafiq? So the home task was veins and lymphatic drainage, right? Venous and lymphatic drainage of the upper limbs. So am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
So why are you keeping silence when I ask you about the home
Lymphatic,
task?
ma'am, venic drainage and lymphatic
when you asked him.
upper limb, ma'am.
Okay, so venous and lymphatic drainage of the upper limb. So let's start with the veins of the upper limb.
Ma'am, veins of upper limb are superficial lymphatic vessels. And the superficial lymphatic vessels of the upper limb arise from lymphatic plexus in the skins of hands. These vessels then travel up the arm in closely proximal to the major superficial veins. Uh, in these veins are basilic veins, uh, cephalic vein.
So I see.
And the
First of all, we you told us that we have two types of venous system,
yes,
right?
ma'am. Deep lymphatic
Superficial
vessels,
and deep.
deep
Okay.
lymphatic vessels. Yes, ma'am. And superficial lymphatic vessels. Superficial lymphatic vessels are basilic vein and cephalic vein. Basilic
So
vein,
I see. Where from starts these superficial veins? Where from?
man lymphatic plague
Not
users
lymphatic,
around.
venous.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So where from this vein starts? I mean, basilic and cephalic veins. Where from they rise?
The basilic veins, ma'am. These vessels, ma'am, basilic veins, and ma'am, these vessels are arise from axillary vein, ma'am. Basilic vein originate
Basilic?
from the dorsal, ma'am. Basilic vein originate from the dorsal venous network of the heart and ascending the medial absect of upper limb.
So you see, the venous drainage
Venous
of
network of
the upper limb
these arise from the
starts from
um,
the dorsal
venous network of
venous arch,
yes, ma'am.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
From the dorsal venous arch. So you see, in the dorsum of the hand, we have different veins, digital veins, dorsal metacarpal veins, so small veins from the palm and perforating veins from interosseous spaces. So these veins, they form the dorsal venous arch.
Yes, ma'am.
And from the dorsal venous arch arises cephalic and basilic veins. So is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So let's start from the cephalic vein. So where from it starts, originated, and how it runs, the route of the um, cephalic vein, and where to it, where to drain, where to it drain. So will you tell us about the cephalic
Ma'am,
vein? Asim?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Cephalic vein, ma'am.
cephalic
Yes,
vein is
cephalic vein.
superficial vein.
Then the cephalic vein arises from the dorsal venous network of the hand. It ascending the anterior lateral subpact of upper limb, passing anteriorly at elbow. At the shoulder, cephalic vein travel between the deltal and pectoral major muscles and enter the axial regions, clavipectoral triangle. Within the axial, the cephalic vein empty into axial vein.
Axillary vein. So you see, it will start from the lateral side, right?
Yes, ma'am.
From the lateral
Yes,
side
ma'am.
of the dorsum, um,
Venous
of the
network of
dorsal
heart,
vein
hand. Yes, ma'am.
side. So it will arise from the lateral side of the dorsal venous arch on the back of the hand. So then it runs into the lateral border of the forearm.
Yes,
Okay, it
ma'am.
will reach the cubital fossa and then arise in the lateral, so along the lateral margin of the biceps muscle.
Yes, ma'am.
So then it will
Entered in axial region.
go to the delta pectoral triangle.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
yes, it presses the clavipectoral fascia and then drains into the axillary vein. Okay, so so what about the basilic vein? So Moni, will you tell us?
Yes, ma'am. This medial side of dorsal venous arch of hand,
Uh-huh.
ascending on the ulnar side of foramen to the elbow in the middle of arm, where the ulnar side in the middle of arm and presses deep fossa, join the bronchial vein.
Mm-hmm. So it joins the brachial vein. Uh-huh.
And median cubital veins like also found in a link between cephalic and basilic veins.
So you see, the basilic vein. So we said it's originated from the medial end of the dorsal
The medial side of
venous
the
arch, right? And you said the
ma'am, I said
interim.
it arises from medial side of dorsal venous arch of hand,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and it is also found in the ulnar side, means inner side of
Yeah,
hand.
so in the medial side of the forearm. Okay, then it reaches the cubital fossa
It is also found in
and
elbow.
then it rises in the medial side of the biceps.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
as you told us, at the middle of the arm,
Medial.
it will go deep, right? Through the
Yes,
deep
yes.
fissure.
And join the bronchial.
So then, yes, so it joins the brachial vein, and
axillary.
yes, and form the axillary vein on the middle side of the biceps. So you see,
Yes, ma'am. And it also linked between the basilic and cephalic veins are also called median cubital vein.
okay, so you see, we have a median cubital vein. So it's originated from the cephalic vein,
Yes, ma'am.
and terminating at the basilic vein. So above
Yeah.
the medial condyle. So you see, it's a large communicating branch, and it streams blood from cephalic to basilic vein, and it lies in front of elbow in cubital fossa, and this is the ideal place for intravenous injection. So the most common place is the place of the intravenous injections is median cubital vein.
Yes, ma'am. Actually,
So you shouldn't forget about one else vein. We have anterior medial vein of forearm. So this vein is located um,
yes, ma'am.
on the forearm. So it's originated um,
Ma'am, it is
from the
through ac-
palmar venous arch. So you see, in the palm, we have a, superficial and deep palmar arches, arterial palmar
yes,
arches. You remember? So you have to know that all the arteries are um,
yes, ma'am. Deep veins or
accompanied by the veins. So we have the same here, the same palmar venous network on the palm. So from this palmar venous network starts the median vein of the forearm, and it will arise in the forearm, and
yes, ma'am.
sometimes it divides into two branches, median cephalic and median basilic veins. So median cephalic vein joins cephalic vein, and median basilic vein joins the basilic vein, or it terminates any one of the veins in front of elbow. So it may terminate in the basilic or cephalic vein directly.
Yes, ma'am.
So you see, these are the veins of the forearm, which you have to know. So you see, axillary vein. So it is axillary vein is formed at the lower body of the teres major muscle, as we said, by the union of the
Yes, ma'am.
brachial vein and basilic vein. So it runs upwards on the medial side of the
Is
axillary
begin
artery.
lower border of the major.
Yes. So
And
axillary vein receives the cephalic vein, right?
yes, ma'am.
Receives the
And
cephalic vein, and then it continues as a subclavian vein. So subclavian vein lies on the first rib, anterior to anterior scalenus muscle, and at the level of the second of the sternal angle. So the subclavian vein joins with the internal jugular vein and form the
yes,
brachiocephalic
ma'am.
vein.
Exit subclavic clavicle vein, ma'am.
Yes.
It's it's ma'am connection of axillary vein extended from outer border of first rib to sternal end of the clavicle, where the unit of sternal jigger to form the branchial spilla.
Yes. Yes. So
And,
they.
these vein also, ma'am, like axillary vein, which is from the upper border, lower border to lower border and also outer border of rib and receive branchial vein and close to termination to the sphenic vein.
Mhm.
And deep vein of upper limb also found here because the artery of the same regions bears similar names like venous communiants. They are generally arranged pairs and are situated one another each
So,
across.
as we told that every artery is accompanied by the veins. So these veins are called commutants, or so they have the same names as the arteries. So, for example, we have a brachial artery, so we have the brachial veins. The veins, this commutant, are usually paired. So, and you see, they accompany the large arteries. Yes, so
Yes,
you see, this superficial veins connected, so they drain into the deep veins. So, as
yes,
we
ma'am.
said, for example, basilic vein joins with the brachial vein and form the axillary.
Yes, ma'am. They form
So,
connection superficial and deep pulmonary arch accommodated by pair venous covenant which content of superficial or deep pulmonary veins, yeah, etc. which receive ma'am connection of arteries or deep veins of foramens are the veins which ma'am also found in ulnar or radius side both.
mhm.
Yes, ma'am. Branchial vein ma'am also placed on the either side of the branchial artery.
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is what about the veins.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's talk about the lymph drainage of the upper limb.
What thing, ma'am?
And
Sorry, I don't.
Lymph
lymph nodes,
drainage of the
Yes,
upper limb.
and lymph nodes are
upper limb,
divided
ma'am.
into four groups.
Okay, okay, ma'am. एक मिनट ढूंढता हूँ. Yes, ma'am. It's also divided into four group, ma'am.
Yes,
Upper limb.
Aquarius,
So first of all,
platform,
um, we also in the upper limb have lymph vessels, right? And
Yes,
they are divided into two groups also, superficial and deep.
yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. Two groups, superficial and spilla.
deep,
So you see, the superficial lymph vessels, they drain the superficial tissues, right? And deep
Yes,
vessels drains the muscles and deep structures
ma'am. The two sets
of the
don't more
upper limb.
frequent each other. The superficial veins are placed immediately beneath the skin, which is superficial fossa called, which is found, ma'am, in inner the skin beneath. And deep veins accommodate the artery, ma'am, the connection and constitute the venous communicates of those vessels.
Mm-hmm.
Ma'am, these are two part of uh, upper limb vein divided. Vein upper limb vein, ma'am, divided into these two parts, superficial and deep.
We're talking about the lymph vessels, not veins.
Ma'am, yes, sorry. Repeat again, ma'am.
Who is it? 45. 54 M Shilzad. What is it?
What?
It's not our student, right?
No, ma'am,
Oh.
I am your student. Mohammed Shafiq.
Yes, he left our group.
Yes, ma'am.
So you see, the lymph vessels, we said also they divided into two groups, superficial and deep lymphatic vessels. So from the fingers, the vessels descend onto the dorsum of the hand.
Ma'am, dorsal venous, which is
Dorsum
found
of
on
the
the
hand.
yes, ma'am. Ma'am, dorsal is found in the outside, like radius side, which is
No, I'm talking about the lymph vessels. For example, the lymph vessels of the fingers. So they pass along their borders to reach the web. So from here, the vessels descend onto the dorsum of the hand. So you see, for example, in that cases, when you have an inflammation in the finger, the dorsum of the hand can be edema on the dorsum of the hand. So why it is? Because that the all lymph will go on the dorsum of the hand, so the vessels, and lymph vessels on the palm form a plexus that is drained by vessels that descends in the front of forearm or pass around the medial and lateral borders to join vessels of the dorsum of the hand. So you see, all these vessels, what?
Ma'am, you are asked about lymph vessel, ma'am.
Yes, lymph vessels. We are talking about the lymph.
Sorry, ma'am. First, I don't understand what you asked me. Lymph vessel, ma'am, are thin-walled structure like blood vessels that carry lymphs as a part of lymphatic system. Ma'am, it is a complementary or cardiovascular system. Ma'am, its function generally like transport fluid in vessel, lymphatic vessel, and it's well recognized as a specialization into capillaries serving as entrance point. Ma'am, it's four type: spleen, thymus gland, thyroid gland, and lungs. Hello.
Yes, I'm listening to you.
Okay, ma'am. I think you are not listening. Therefore, I call you. Ma'am, it also work as a transport, like uh, as a vessel, like blood carry, but it also carry fluid in lymphs, which is a cardiovascular system, and vas lymphium. Ma'am, lymph vessel lined
So, Shafiq, we are talking about the upper lymph drainage, not about the systemic lymph drainage. We are talking about the upper lymph.
upper limb, ma'am.
Yes. So you
Okay,
see,
ma'am.
the lymph drainage, the lymphatic system in the upper limb is presented by the lymph vessels and lymph nodes.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
the lymph vessels, I told you that we can divide it into two groups, superficial and deep lymph vessels.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Deep. Yes, ma'am.
Azam,
Ma'am, it's
Azam, Azam.
ma'am, upper limb or upper extremes are the four limb, ma'am.
Azam,
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
So,
ma'am.
Azam, will you tell us about the lymph vessels
Yes.
of the upper limb?
Upper limb. The axillary vein begins at the lower border of the teres major as the communication of the celiac vein, ends at the outer border of the first ribs as the subclavian vein, receive the brachial veins and close to its termination the cephalic vein, the subclavian vein. It is the continuation of the axillary vein extend from the outer border of the first rib to the sternal end of the clavicle, where it unitizes with the internal jugular to form the brachial.
Azam,
Yes,
we
ma'am.
are discussing the lymph drainage of the upper limb.
Ma'am, continuous
Ma'am,
brachial artery at lower
Lymph
border of
drainage of the upper limb.
continuous as brachial artery at lower border of teres major muscle. It
divided.
closely it
Ma'am, they are
closely.
divided into two groups, ma'am.
Vertical and deep.
Azam,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
hello.
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
Wait.
Yes, ma'am.
okay. So Azam, we are talking about the lymph drainage of the upper limb. So what can you say about the lymph drainage of the upper limb? Azam.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, continuous as brachial artery at lower border of teres major muscle is closely related to the cords of brachial plexus and their branches in close with the axillary sheath encroached anteriorly by the pectoral minor muscle and is divided into three parts. Third, lies behind the pectoral minor muscle. It is related medially, internally, interlaterally, and posterior to the corresponding cord of the brachial
What are
plexus.
you explaining us? I didn't understand. Azam,
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
what are you explaining? What are you explaining?
Ma'am, yes, yes, ma'am.
What? Yes, I'm asking you, what are you explaining right now?
Ma'am, it is related medially, laterally, and posterior
What
to
are you
the.
talking about, Azam?
Yes, ma'am.
Answer on my question. Answer my question.
I think he is talking about the arteries of upper limb.
And I was asking about the arteries of the upper limb.
Lymph vessels, lymph drainage.
So Azam,
Yes, ma'am.
my question. Tell us about lymph drainage of the upper limb.
In duration of the upper limb, ma'am. Make. Ma'am.
Zargam,
Yes, ma'am.
will you tell us about the lymph drainage of the upper limb?
Ma'am, lymph drainage to the lymph vessels. Lymph vessels are divided into two main groups, superficial and deep.
Mm-hmm.
Superficial lymph vessels. These vessels are start from subcutaneous tissue and they move upward to the axilla. These ends into the axillary lymph nodes, and
Mm-hmm.
those which arise from the lateral side of the lymph of the limb, and and they and in the axillary lymph nodes.
Mm-hmm. What about the medial, from the medial side?
From medial side, in the medial side, ma'am, they move to the basilic vein, and they and in the lateral group of axillary nodes in the medial side.
Superficial vessels from the medial side of the hand and forearm. So, well, yes, they follow the basilic vein to the cubital fossa and then drain into the supratrochlear lymph nodes.
Yes,
Supratrochlear lymph nodes.
yes, ma'am.
So where is where these supratrochlear lymph nodes located?
Ma'am, they start from the tissues of superficial veins, from superficial veins at the
I'm
medial.
asking location of the supratrochlear nodes. Or it's called superficial cubital nodes. So where located? Where are they located?
Ma'am, lymph nodes are pectoral, scapular, and apical central.
Supratrochlear. Supratrochlear lymph node.
Are ma'am present in superficial fossa fascia along with the superficial vein.
So where is it located? So it's located above the medial epicondyle.
Yes, ma'am.
So yes, it lies in the superficial fascia above the trochlea. So above the medial epicondyle along the basilic vein. Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
now you see these supratrochlear nodes, they drain medial side of the hand and forearm.
From the upper
Okay.
and upper part.
So the efferent vessels from the supratrochlear node drain into the lateral axillary nodes. Okay. So let's talk about the axillary lymph nodes.
Ma'am,
Zardan?
axillary nodes are pectoral. They are located in the medial wall of axilla, and they receive lymphs from the anterior thoracic wall. They receive lymph material.
So first of all, we have several groups of the axillary lymph nodes, right?
Yes, yes,
So it's
pectoral,
about 20, 30
scapular,
in number. So they arranged in 5 groups, which are located in axilla. And one group is located at
pectoral is
another
located in the
place,
medial wall of axilla.
infraclavicular, for example. So they lie on the clavipectoral fascia in delta pectoral triangle. So this so the 6th group. So you see, in axilla we have 5 groups.
One is a pectoral, ma'am. Other
So
is
what groups we have there?
and apical.
Okay, so let's start with anterior group.
Anterior group is also known as pectoral group, ma'am. It is present about medial wall of the axilla. It
So
gives a
it's
lymph.
along the lower body of pectoralis minor. Pectoralis minor. So deep to the pectoralis major.
Yes, ma'am. They receive.
So they receive lymph nodes from where from?
Anterior thoracic wall.
Anterior thoracic. So you see, they receive the lymph from the lateral part of the breast,
Yes, ma'am.
and they receive the lymph from upper half of anterior wall of trunk.
Yes.
So also it receives the lymph from the anterolateral abdominal wall above the level of the umbilical.
Anterior. And also called as pectoral. And the other is a subscapular, are also known as posterior. It
So
receives
it
from
lies in front of
it,
subscapular muscle.
yes, ma'am. It receives the from it receives the lymph from the posterior thoracic wall and scapular region.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
the other is a
Azam,
lateral, are also known as humeral.
Yes, ma'am.
Azam. So will you continue with the group? So the next is the lateral group.
And the cubital fossa is the common site, for example, in transfusion of blood and intervening injection because the prominence and insensibility of vein. The median cubital vein is
Azam,
circular. Yes, ma'am.
what are you
Yes,
talking
ma'am.
about? What are you talking about? What are you explaining us? I don't understand. What are you talking about? We are discussing the axillary lymph nodes. I'm asking you about the lateral group of the axillary lymph nodes. So where it is present and where from it drains the lymph. Okay, Asim, will you continue?
I will continue.
Asim. Asim,
Yes, ma'am.
go on. Where we
Topic
stopped, go on.
ma'am, about lymph nodes are
You do
ma'am.
not listen to
The
us?
upper vessels are divided into two veins: superficial veins and deep veins.
Which veins?
Superficial veins,
We are not discussing the veins.
nodes, ma'am, lymph nodes.
Yes, lymph nodes.
Ma'am, upper limb lymph nodes are divided into four groups. Four
Which groups?
peppers. Ma'am, four groups.
Which groups?
Name, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, the first group is pectoral.
Mm-hmm.
Pectoral, ma'am. Pectoral is a 3 to 5
The
nodes
next group,
located. Pectoral,
we have
suprascapular,
already discussed the pectoral group. The scapula, we already
suprascapular,
discussed it. So next lateral
humeral.
group. What can you tell us about lateral group of the lymph node, axillary lymph nodes?
About lateral, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, located in the lateral wall of axial posterior to the axial vein, they receive mostly of the lymph direct from the upper limbs. They are 4 to 6 nodes.
Okay. Okay. The next group is the central group.
Center 3 to 4 large nodes located near the base of the axial. Axial, they receive lymph from affected vessels from pectoral, suprascapular, and humeral axial lymph node groups.
Okay. So you see, the central group
These three.
receives the lymph from above three groups, which we already have discussed. So
Yes, ma'am.
from anterior, posterior, and lateral groups. So central group receives the lymph from these groups. Okay, the next group is the apical group.
Apical group, ma'am. Located in the epic because it is located in the apex of axial, therefore its name is as epic. It located in the apex of axial, closer to the axial vein and first part of the axial artery. They receive lymph from affected vessels of center axial lymph nodes. Therefore, from all axial lymph nodes groups, the epic axial nodes also receive lymph from those lymphatic vessels. Comparison the cephalic vein.
Mm-hmm. So you see, the apical group lymph nodes, so they receive the lymph from all the other axillary nodes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Uh,
So what happens next? From the apical group, the lymph runs where?
vessels from apical group. Ma'am,
Yes.
the effective value on the apical axillary nodes travel through the cervical axillary canals before covering to form the suprascapular lymphatic trunk. The right subscapular trunk continue to form the right lymphatic ducts and enter the right uh, venial angle. Venial angle is the junction of the interjugular and subscapular vein directly. The left
Not
subscapular
scapular, subclavian.
drive directly into the
Subclavian.
yes, ma'am. Subclavian
So
trunk
you
drive
see, apical group from the apical nodes,
subclavian
uh,
ma'am.
the apical nodes they drain into the subclavian trunk.
And then
Okay,
it directly into
and
thoracic
from
duct.
the subclavian trunk, yes, to the thoracic duct on the left side and to the right lymphatic trunk on the right side.
Right side.
Yes, and then it will drain into the venous system, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Venous dry deoxygenated blood from arms, forearms, and hands. It is subdivided into two superficial system and the deep systems.
Mhm. So you see, the topic is not difficult. It's rather easy to remember that the lymph will, from the upper lymph, most of the lymph drains into the lateral group,
Yes, ma'am.
of axillary lymph nodes. So, but some parts, so from the medial side of the hand and forearm, the lymph will drain into the supratrochlear lymph nodes.
Yes.
So, and also from the supratrochlear lymph nodes, the lymph will drain into the lateral group of the axillary nodes. So you have to remember it. And if we'll talk about them, mm, mm, um, you see about the infraclavicular group, these nodes are not strictly axillary nodes because they locate outside of the axilla. And so it lies on the clavipectoral fascia in the pectoral triangle, and it receives the lymph from the lateral sides of the hand and forearm and so,
Ma'am, there is a clinical feature.
and then it drains to apical groups. Infraclavicular group drains into the apical group. So it will receive superficial lymph vessels from the lateral side of hand and forearm, and remember it. Okay, and the deep lymphatic vessels, they drain into the lateral group of the
Lymph
exuberant.
muscle diagrams.
Okay, so remember that from the medial side, in medial part, it will drain into supratrochlear lymph node and then to the lateral group of the exuberant node. From the lateral side,
Okay, ma'am.
it will drain into infraclavicular group and then will drain into the apical group. Okay, so is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So your home task for the next class will be thoracic
Ma'am,
and
please write it.
abdominal. Okay, I will write.
Thanks, ma'am.
Aorta branches.
Okay, ma'am.
So I will write here. We'll talk about the thoracic aorta and abdominal aorta. And branches. Okay, so you have to know which vessels arise from the thorax and from the thoracic and abdominal aorta. So which region they supply. Okay,
Okay, ma'am.
so this is your home task. Well, you know, for today, I gave you a home task, the veins and lymph drainage of the upper limb, but I had to give you thoracic also, thoracic aorta, but I forgot. So
We'll try
this
our best.
thoracic and abdominal aorta we will discuss next class. So I don't know how to make it because we have to also take a venous drainage of the abdomen and thorax. So I don't know. So you know there are 3 lessons left before the first module, and we have to pass the arteries and veins of the head, neck, and the lower limb. So that is why that's the problem. We are one class behind, one topic behind. So that's why I don't know how to make it. So okay, let's take a thoracic and abdominal aorta branches for the next class. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So let's see. So now only 5 students left. Where about 2 of you? So we have no Faisal, he's absent, and who else? So Azam, Munib, Shafiq, I see, Asim, and Zara. So Famid is also, right? Absent.
Ma'am, for me just now leave the class.
What?
Yes, ma'am. He leave the class only just now, ma'am.
No, leave the class because of network problem.
And he messaged us in group that he is a signal issue, so tell them, ma'am.
So from the beginning of our class, Faisal didn't respond to my message. And I don't know about the Famid. About Famid.
For me, no, ma'am, just go out. He sent me a message. He has some problem of network.
Ma'am, he is on mountains of signal problem, ma'am.
Bhaskar Mountain.
Yes, he
बोलो
does.
थोड़ा लाओ ओए।
So he's in the mountains of Pakistan.
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
He live on mountain, ma'am.
So who lives in the mountains? Faisal or Hamid?
Famid,
ma'am.
Famid.
Hamid?
Yes, ma'am. Therefore, the signal problem.
Ma'am, rainfall is come outside, so you come in house. There was a signal problem, therefore he is disconnected from class.
No, I understand. Okay. So, so for the next class, prepare the topic, okay? Thoracic and
Inshallah.
abdominal aorta branches. Okay.
We will try our best, ma'am.
So, and I think we can finish up our class.
Okay.
Okay.
Daniel, ma'am.
Have a good day, ma'am.
Bye.